Let's talk about buying a new smartphone. Because let's be honest, it's not just a simple purchase anymore, is it? You're picking out a really critical tool for your digital and financial life. I mean, it's your bank, it's your investment portfolio, it's your connection to, well, everything. If you get it right, it's empowering. But if you get it wrong, oh, it's just a frustrating and super expensive mistake. You know that feeling, right? When you start looking and you're just hit with this wall of options, these confusing model numbers, and all this technical jargon. Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It really is a dense jungle out there, and it is so easy to feel completely lost. And look, that confusion, it's totally normal. The smartphone market is this crazy battlefield of specs and marketing terms that are, frankly, designed to make you feel a little overwhelmed. The real trick is cutting through all that noise to figure out what actually matters for you. But that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Think of this as your map, your compass through that jungle. We are going to slash through all that jargon and give you the knowledge you need to make a choice you can feel really, really good about. So, where do we even begin? Well, the most important step happens before you even glance at a single phone. The first thing you have to do is define your own personal mission. And that brings us to what I call the golden rule. It's actually super simple. It all boils down to two big questions. First, what are you actually going to be doing with this phone day in and day out? And second, what's your real, honest-to-goodness budget? You answer those two, and I promise you, most of the confusing options just disappear. Okay, take a look at this. This chart is your first major shortcut. It helps you figure out exactly what kind of user you are. Are you a basic user? You know, mostly calls, texts, a little web browsing, the essential banking apps. Or maybe you're moderate. You're all over social media, taking photos, streaming shows, maybe some light gaming. Or are you a heavy user? We're talking pro-level photos and video, intense gaming, just a ton of multitasking. Find yourself on this chart and bam, you know exactly which category of phone you should be looking at. All right, mission defined. Now it's time to understand the terrain. Let's start decoding those key technical specs. You can think of these as the vital stats that really determine how a phone is going to perform in the real world. So your first big decision, your fork in the road, is the operating system, Apple's iOS or Google's Android. On one hand, you've got iOS, which is famous for being simple, very secure, and it just works seamlessly if you've already got a Mac or an iPad. On the other hand, there's Android. Its whole game is flexibility, customization, and a massive, massive range of phones at every possible price point. There is no wrong answer here. It's all about what you personally value most. Next up, the screen. This is what you'll be staring at all day, so it matters. You'll mainly see two kinds, LCD and OLED. LCD screens are totally fine. You see them a lot on budget-friendly phones, but sometimes the black colors can look a little bit gray. OLED screens, which you'll find on mid-range to high-end phones, are a whole other level. You get these super vibrant colors and true deep blacks. It just makes watching videos or looking at pictures a much better experience. Now let's talk about the engine of the phone, the processor or the CPU. Yeah, it's the phone's brain for sure. But think of it like this. A better processor doesn't just make your games load faster. It makes the entire phone feel snappier, from opening an app to just swiping around. And here's the real insight. Spending a little more on a better chip today basically buys you an extra year or two of that new phone feeling down the line. And you don't need to memorize a bunch of crazy model numbers like the A17 Bionic or the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The rule of thumb is really simple. Newer and more expensive phones almost always have faster, more powerful processors. A higher number is almost always better. It is the single most reliable indicator of performance you've got. Okay, so the processor works hand in hand with something called RAM. If the processor is the brain, think of RAM as its short-term memory. It's kind of like how much desk space your phone has to work with. The more RAM you have, the more apps you can keep open at once and just switch between them instantly without that annoying lag where the app has to reload. That's what good RAM does for you. So, how much do you really need? Well, today, 6 gigabytes is a really solid baseline. It'll give you smooth performance for most everyday stuff. But if you're one of those heavy users we talked about and you're constantly jumping between apps, aiming for 8 gigs or even more is a fantastic idea. It'll keep everything running like a dream. Next, let's talk about the other kind of memory, storage. Now, don't get this mixed up with RAM. Storage is your phone's permanent filing cabinet. It's where all your apps, your photos, your videos, it's where they all live, even when your phone is turned off. And here's my big piece of advice. Whatever you do, do not skimp on storage. Seriously,
In today's world, 128 gigabytes should be considered the absolute bare minimum. If you can stretch your budget, jumping up to 256 or even 512 gigs is going to give you so much breathing room for years to come. You'll thank yourself later.
Okay, we've gone through the core specs, but let's be real. A great phone is so much more than just its processor and RAM. Now we gotta look at the practical, real-world stuff that makes or breaks your day-to-day experience and, importantly, your security. This right here, this is the stuff that really matters in the long run. You need to ask yourself these questions. How long is this phone gonna get security updates? Super important. Is it durable? Can it survive a little rain? Does it have 5G so it's ready for the future? And for battery life, please ignore the marketing numbers. Go find reviews from real people that talk about real-world use. That's where you'll find the truth. Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. You've figured out your mission, you've decoded the specs. Now let's put it all together. Here is your final, empowering action plan to guide you to the perfect phone. Here it is, your step-by-step checklist to victory. You've already done step 1, which is awesome. Now, pick your OS. Then decide what features matter most to you. Is it the camera, battery life, the screen? Then do your homework. Read reviews from sites you trust. Watch some comparison videos. And finally, if you possibly can, go to a store and actually hold the phone. You'd be surprised how much the way it feels in your hand really matters. By following these steps, you see, you're not just buying another gadget anymore. You're choosing a powerful digital ally that is perfectly suited for your life. That smartphone jungle, it's not so scary now, is it? It can absolutely be conquered. So the only question left is, are you ready to choose yours?